Hello everybody, my name is Star Raptor and welcome to the channel. We had the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct today. We got all the information from the release date, to the price, to the hardware, to the launch lineup, and much more. In this video I'm going to dive into all the things that I thought made this a great first showing for the Nintendo Switch and its future. So let's dive in. But before we do, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're looking forward more to video games, Star Wars, and more. So let's dive in. First of all, that release date of June 5th. I love how we get the pre-orders and then it's 2 months later, we're getting this system. We do not have to wait long. I mean, we knew the system was coming a couple months ago, and it's a very short lead time. So I absolutely love that. So $449 is the entrance price. So it's a little bit more expensive than I think a lot of people thought it'd be, maybe coming in at $399. Plus, if you get the bundle with Super Mario Kart or Mario Kart World, it's going to be basically the same price of an Xbox Series X. So, you know, for what we're going to talk about that it includes, I think this is a very fair price because now they have competition. They have Steam Decks. They have ROG Allies. Lenovo is making things, right? Xbox is getting more into that mobile PC space. So there's a lot more figuring out, right? So getting into why I think this is actually worth it is the hardware. I am surprised because Nintendo, for the longest time now, for a couple generations, has been a system that has not really cared about what PlayStation and Xbox are doing as far as like pushing power to its limits. They've been more about intuitive design in their games and really working with what the hardware is capable of doing. So as a gaming enthusiast, I seen the specs and I was actually very surprised. The fact that, you know, obviously it's a much larger screen, which is great, but it's got HDR, so that higher contrast both in mobile or portable and dock mode, right? We look at the actual performance when you were having it in dock mode, it can do 4K 60. 4K 60 for a Nintendo Switch 2 is just, I didn't think that would actually be possible. And that's not only that, because then it does 1080p at 120 frames per second. So just, I love the idea that we can actually choose between options, even on a mobile portable system like the Switch. It's just a great idea for Nintendo to really kind of give people what they've been asking for. As far as new features on the Switch itself, right, we got a glimpse at what these things look like, but now we get the actual hard evidence, which I really appreciate from Nintendo really being transparent with this entire reveal. Was just fantastic. We get the C button everybody's been wondering about. It's their new kind of game chat, and it's cool that we have a baked in kind of voice chat, because with all the multiplayer games nowadays, you're gonna want to have a way of communicating, and we all know that Nintendo, the online has not been the greatest. It's nothing compared to Xbox Live, but hey, they're making strides in that department. Now, some of the stuff does scream like, you know, Xbox One Connect or Xbox 360 Connect, where you can get this camera connected to the Switch 2, and then you could have yourself playing these games and seeing your friends playing these games, their faces on the games and all. And it didn't look the greatest, right? It looked very slow FPS on the other cameras of the people's webcams. So I'm hoping it looks better than that, but I can't really see myself using that. This seems very niche, and at least it's not packed in with the system like the Xbox One originally was, which was part of that thing's issue. But there you go. We have dedicated game chat. You're not going to have to go to Discord, but you know, Nintendo has baked that in to the actual software. Now, the thing that really excites me with the entire design of the Switch 2 is the Joy-Con 2s. We have brand new Joy-Cons. First of all, they're magnetic. Second of all, they both have like a mouse function in both the left and the right. For instance, they were showing off Metroid Prime 4, which is also available on Nintendo Switch. But if you get on the Switch 2, you're going to be able to use that mouse as if you're playing almost like a PC game. And as a big time PC gamer here on the channel, I'm definitely going to opt in to try to play that way. Looks pretty freaking slick that way. So, you know, you have little minor things like adjustable stands. You have 2 different USB-C ports now on the top, on the bottom. 256 gigabytes of data storage on the drive itself without buying SD card. It's nice, but I feel like it's still it needs to be a little bit more than that. What's nice about this system too is it's going to be able to upgrade a lot of games that you have already. For instance, if you're a fan of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild or the Tears of the Kingdom, you're going to be able to buy an update that's going to increase frame rates, going to increase graphics. So for somebody like myself that has struggled with Breath of the Wild, I'm going to give it its fair shake on a big screen TV. I was playing that. The only other Nintendo Switch I have is a Nintendo Switch Lite. And that's what's been hampering my experience, I think, is playing on a small screen. I want to play these on a big screen. So the fact that now I can play Legend of Zelda in 4K 60, hopefully, like that sounds awesome. And it sounds like the way that I really would rather play a game that is so highly regarded as one of the best games of the last decade. So you got that there. You got games that upgrade. I think even certain other games are going to get free updates as well that don't require that. For the Nintendo Online, they're also including GameCube games, which it just hits me in the feels because as a guy that grew up with Nintendo GameCube back in 2001, as a wee young lad back then, and seeing games like Soul Calibur 2, Wind Waker 2, and they get, added clarity and resolution in just like the backwards compatibility, is great to see. It's absolutely great to see that there. One thing that's very strong out of the gate, shows a lot of potential, a lot of promise, is the third-party support for the Nintendo Switch 2. I think we had a lot of support going into Nintendo Switch 1, but it looks like full straight through every major publisher from EA to Take-Two to even CD Projekt Red supporting this system right off launch with Cyberpunk 2077 runs on this thing. Like, I can't wait to see what that looks like because that's impressive. You got that. You got FromSoft with Elden Ring. Not to mention that FromSoft is making a new game that looks like Bloodborne I think it's called Duskblood, of something of or Duskborn or something of that nature. It looks awesome. An exclusive FromSoft by Miyazaki himself directing that. That is huge news. People on PlayStation, PC, Xbox, they're going to be jealous. They're going to want to pick up a Switch 2 just to play that one game alone. And there's even, support from IO that's already teasing that they're going to have their James Bond game on there when it comes out. You got, Warner Brothers with the highest selling game of the year with Harry Potter. I know that was already on the Switch, but this is another updated version of this game, which we get a lot of from third-party support. So that just shows you the potential and the power of this system. If these companies are putting their best games on this system, they're not going to put their best games on this system and have it at launch and it looks terrible, right? They have to hopefully show confidence that these things are run relatively smooth on portable mode, right? Especially. So I'm looking forward to that. And then, of course, you got to get the first party support. So the two big games I want to talk about here are, first of all, let's dive into Mario Kart, and we'll dive into Donkey Kong after that. But Mario Kart World is great. This is basically like Forza Mario Kart, right? You have the big open world. You got up to 24 players racing each other. You go around and you have free roam, but then you also have your usual kind of fare with just regular circuits and whatnot. So that's cool. It looks great. Pounding around with friends in multiplayer, just goofing around and not having to go on a race all the time. This is a great new addition for the series, right? Where do you go after 8, after people loved it so much? Well, you make it an open world game, maybe like Forza, and see how that does. So, hey, you got that there. But I just lost my mind, guys. I lost my mind when we got the Donkey Kong Bonanza reveal. As somebody who cherishes Donkey Kong 64 back on, yes, the N64 all those years ago. And I've been really hoping we get another 3D Donkey Kong. And here we got it. I couldn't be more excited. Like, honestly, I didn't think I could be this excited for a freaking Nintendo game in 2025. And here we are. I'm super amped. This one is coming out, I believe, in July as well, so I don't even have to wait very long for this. And I will be honest, like, it looks great. This looks like a far-flung different thing than this usual 3D Super Mario. I mean, you got a lot more destructibility. I like the engine, how they're just showing Donkey Kong just ripping apart rocks and boulders, just splintering apart. There's so much detail in there in the furry. I'm still not completely sold on his new design. That's from the Super Mario Brothers movie, but I think it'll grow on me eventually, because I do really like the Donkey Kong Country vibe of Donkey Kong and his aesthetic there. But still, I was hoping for this. Didn't ever think it would actually happen, and it has happened, and I'm so hyped for it. Another thing here is the idea that you can also, when you play multiplayer with your Switches, you only need one person with the game in proximity. So like if somebody's playing Mario Kart, you don't have it, I'm assuming you can also play it with your friends wirelessly. Like if you go to a party and stuff, not everybody needs the game, which could be, I imagine, an issue. Not everybody's going to own every game that everybody else has. So that could be a problem on a party night. But now they're going to allow us to play in that manner. So very good. I feel like Nintendo is iterating, and conclusion here. Nintendo has learned over the last 8-9 years that they've been working with the Nintendo Switch, and that was really the beginning of a new age, because you got to remember, there was nothing quite like the Nintendo Switch when it launched. Something that was both portable, both powerful enough to play some of the current games, and then you had the Steam Deck, which kind of bumped things up a notch, and Rogue Ally and all these other things coming out. And then Switch 2 comes out, and it's got to be able to compete, because it's not on its own anymore, right? Like, how is it going to deliver performance and power compared to these other high-end type of devices? And those things are running the gamut from about $500 to $800, and you have Switch 2 running in at $450, which is respectable, but I'm very curious to see the performance and everything that comes with it, because Nintendo actually has surprised me, as I said before, surprised me by the specs of being able to perform at the way it does, both in docked and portable mode. That is why I'm sold on this. That is why I'm buying this day one. And let me tell you, I haven't bought a Nintendo system day one since the Wii in 2012, or whenever that was. Or it was probably before 2012, actually. Way before 2012. I think it's 2008, maybe. Waiting out in the cold for that. Just the good old days of waiting for a midnight launch of a system. So I never even owned a Wii U. And the only Switch I have is a Switch Lite, which I said is kind of like the lesser version of the Switch. So that is why I waited, and I feel like the waiting is going to pay off for me, because I'm really excited to see all these new features that I'm not used to having, and having this bright screen, 4K resolution on my OLED. Playing this thing is going to be awesome, and that is what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the system, and I want to see how much you guys are looking forward to the Nintendo Switch 2. Are you going to be buying it day one? What games are you looking forward to? Third party, first party? Let's talk about it in the comment section down below. For more on Nintendo and video games and more, you're already in the right place. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button to see more of my content. Well, that's going to do it for me, Starper. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.